Hungarian Folk Tales. The astronomer, the thief, the huntsman, and the tailor. Once upon a time there lived a poor man. And the poor man had 4 sons. But the poor man was so poor that he had no money to keep his sons. One day the poor man said, "The time has come for you to leave home and seek your fortunes. You should all go and learn a trade." So the 4 sons set off into the wide world. The sons soon came to a crossroads that branched off into 4 different directions. So the sons agreed to part company and all meet back at the crossroads in a year and a day. Time passed and each of the sons studied a trade. The first son became an astronomer, the second a thief, the third was a huntsman, and the youngest a tailor. So they met again after a year and a day, and they journeyed back home to tell their father of the jobs they now all had. "Well done, sons. I believe you all, but I still would like to see proof of the new trades you practice. You, my son, the astronomer, what do you see on top of that tree?" "I see a nest with 5 eggs, and a golden bird is sitting on them." "You, my son, the thief, if that is indeed your trade, go now to the nest and steal the eggs from under the golden bird without ruffling a feather on its head." So the thief climbed up the tree and succeeded in stealing the eggs unseen, and he gave the eggs to his father. The old man put the eggs on the table. He placed 1 egg at each corner and then put the 5th egg in the middle. "You, my son, the huntsman, if that is indeed your trade, shoot each egg with 1 shot and split them in 2. So the huntsman shot and hit all 5 eggs in turn. "Well done, son. You are a master of your craft." "You, 4th son, the tailor, if that is indeed your trade, stitch all 5 eggs back together so that the chicks inside each survive." So the tailor stitched the eggs back together and did an excellent job of work. But they would not know if all was well until the eggs eventually hatched. "Now, thief, you must put the eggs back under the golden bird unnoticed." The thief succeeded, and only a few days later, all 5 eggs hatched out, and the golden bird was delighted with the chicks. But each chick had a tiny red band around its neck where the tailor had stitched them back together. "Now, my sons, you have proven your trades to me, but now you must prove them to the wide world." News soon came that the princess was lost, so the astronomer's son took out his spyglass and saw the pretty girl sitting on a rocky island in the middle of a vast ocean. And he saw a fierce dragon sleeping on the princess's lap. So the astronomer's son went directly to the king and requested a boat to rescue his royal daughter. The 4 sons voyaged to the rocky island, where they discussed how best to save the princess. The tailor's son suggested they shoot the dragon, but the astronomer's son was worried that they would hit the pretty princess. "But you, thief, if you could steal the eggs, steal her from the dragon." And the thief stole the princess unseen. Then they took the girl onto the boat and sailed slowly back to the shore. But that is when the dragon awoke, and the fearsome beast caught sight of them. The princess had gone, and the dragon flew after them. The dragon saw that the boat was nearing the shore and knew that the princess must be on board, so it swooped down to the boat. But the huntsman's son saw the mighty dragon coming, and he shot it in the heart. Then the dragon fell from the sky onto the boat and smashed it into smithereens, leaving only a few planks of floating wood that the sons held onto. Then the huntsman said, "We'll surely perish in these waters." So the tailor's son swiftly stitched the boat back together, and everyone aboard survived. The old king was a very happy man when he saw his daughter again, and he asked the 4 young men, "Which one of you deserves my daughter's hand?" The astronomer's son said, "Me, sire, for I sighted her in the middle of the ocean." The thief said, "Me, sire, for I stole her quietly away." "Seeing her was not enough, brother, if you weren't brave enough to go and get her." Then the huntsman said, "Getting her was not enough, because if I hadn't shot the fearsome dragon, it would have eaten us all up." Then the tailor said, "Only I deserve the princess, sire, because if I hadn't stitched the boat back together, we would have all surely drowned." And the brothers began to fight. So the old king said, "I cannot grant my daughter's hand to all 4 of you, and so instead I shall grant you each a portion of my kingdom. Will that suffice? Because the princess is very pretty, but living in peace is better still." So all 4 sons received a quarter of the kingdom, and they all lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Poor Man's Vineyard. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a poor man who had 3 sons. The poor man had a tiny vineyard, but he owned no more than that. And he guarded his vineyard as if it were gold. His sons would also take turns to stand watch at the vineyard all day and all night. One morning, it was his eldest son's turn to guard the vineyard, and the boy sat down and started to eat. While he was eating, a frog hopped out in front of him and said, "Give me a bite of bread, young man. I haven't eaten for 2 long weeks." "When pigs learn to fly," said the young fellow, and he chased the frog away. The frog left in silence and the boy fell fast asleep. When he woke again, the vineyard had been so badly ravaged that the boy was filled with fear. Next day, the middle boy went to the vineyard. He too was asked for bread by the frog, but he also chased the frog away and threw a stone at the beast. Then he lay down, fell asleep, and when he awoke, less than half the vineyard remained. "Hey," the poor man moaned, "all we have is this tiny vineyard, and they can't even look after that." Then the youngest boy said, "Worry not, father. What is left will be safe now, for I shall guard it." So the youngest son went to the vineyard, sat down to eat, and the frog hopped out and asked him for bread. "But of course, here, take some." Then he broke off a crust and gave it happily to the frog. "Eat, frog, for you are one of God's creatures too. You are a good boy, and you will be rewarded for your kindness in time. Now I shall give you 1 copper, 1 silver, and 1 golden rod. During the night, 3 horses will come, 1 with a copper mane, 1 with a silver mane, and 1 with a mane of gold. They will come to trample your vines, but if you strike them with these rods, they will be tamed in an instant. The night came at last, and the 3 horses galloped in, kicked and neighed and threw earth up into the starry sky. But the youngest son was soon to act and hit hard at them with all 3 rods. Then the horses were tame and stood and stared like 3 simple sheep. "Don't hurt us," the horses pleaded. "But should you need help, wave the rods in the air and we will appear." Then the boy went home. But the youngest son decided not to tell his brothers and his father of what had happened that night. All 3 were surprised by the crop that was so abundant they could barely gather it in. And no one in the village had vines as rich as theirs. Time passed slowly by, and one day the king decided to erect a pine tree outside the church. Then he placed a golden sprig of rosemary atop the pine tree and told the world that he would give his daughter's hand in marriage to the first man who could snatch the golden rosemary from atop the pine tree. All manner of men tried their hand, but none could jump higher than half the height required. And when all of them had crept away in shame, a fine fellow appeared on a copper-haired horse. He wore a copper helmet so his face could not be seen. Then he spurred his horse on, leapt high in the air, snatched the golden rosemary and rode away. The copper knight was the poor man's youngest son, of course. He went home in his tattered clothes and was sitting in the corner when his father and 2 brothers returned to the house, because they too had witnessed the joust. His brothers told the youngest one what they had seen. "I too saw what happened. But how is that so?" "Because I stood atop the fence and watched from there." His brothers were so furious that they smashed the fence to stop him watching again. The next Sunday, the king placed a golden apple on an even taller tree. Many men tried their hand, but all again in vain. But as they walked away in shame, a knight appeared aback a silver-haired horse, and the knight wore a silver helmet to hide his face. With one jump, he grabbed the golden apple and vanished. By the time his father and brothers returned, the youngest son was sitting in the corner again. They quickly regaled him of what they had seen, invisible to him from the corner. "Oh, I saw it better than both of you. How is that so? I climbed atop the pigsty roof." The brothers were so furious that they tore the pigsty down to stop him watching from there again. The 3rd Sunday came, and the king put a golden scarf atop the tallest pine tree. And it was the poor man's youngest son who again snatched it off. He escaped and recognised again because he rode a golden-haired horse and a golden helmet to hide his face. At home, the brothers both bragged of what they had seen. "I saw it better than both of you." "How is that so? Where from?" "From atop the house roof, of course." His brothers were so furious that then they pulled the roof to pieces. Meanwhile, the king declared that the knight should appear who had taken the golden rosemary, the golden apple, and the golden scarf. But the days became weeks, the weeks months, and no one came forth. Then the king summoned all the men in the land to his palace. But the famous knight was still not among them. All of them gone, a young man appeared with hair and clothes of gleaming gold. The golden rosemary in his hat, he led his horse with the golden scarf, and he held the golden apple in his hand. Thank heaven he had appeared at last. The king was delighted and the princess overjoyed. The wedding was held the very next day. The king gave the golden knight half of his kingdom, and they all lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Magic Mill. Once upon a time, there lived a poor old man who had more children than there are holes in a sieve. His oxen were so small that they were barely any bigger than grasshoppers. The poor man and his wife spent all their days and nights worrying about how they would feed their very large family. One day, the poor man hitched his tiny 2 oxen to his tiny cart and went into the forest. The poor man was busy collecting dry branches and stacking them neatly on the back of his cart when he caught sight of a boy and a girl playing in a clearing close by, and the children began to talk to him. The poor man soon learned that the girl was the daughter of the king of the sunrise and the boy the son of the king of the sunset. As the 3 of them chatted away, the boy noticed the 2 tiny oxen. The little prince was so besotted with these miniature beasts that he begged the poor man to sell them to him. The young prince appealed and pleaded and promised the poor man that his father, the king, would reward him richly, and so the poor man eventually agreed. When the poor man arrived home without the oxen, there was an almighty argument, and his wife was so angry with her husband that he turned on his heels and left the house for the court of the king of the sunset. The poor man arrived to see the prince playing with the 2 tiny oxen. "Come, kind sir, come," said the prince, "and let me give you some advice. No matter what my father offers you, you should refuse it and insist that he gives you the magic mill in payment." So the poor man went to the king, who said, "Your 2 tiny oxen give my son such great joy and pleasure that you may have whatever you ask." Then the poor man noticed that the magic mill was on the table, and it was so very small that it looked like a child's toy. So the poor man said, "Your Majesty, the only thing I wish to have in return for my 2 tiny oxen is this tiny mill on your table." The king said, "Sir, you may have whatever you wish for, but not that." "Now then," thought the poor man, "this tiny mill isn't a toy after all, as the king does not want to part with it." The poor man humbly added, "Your Majesty, please let me have this tiny mill so that my children may also have a toy to play with." The king loved his own child very dearly, so he agreed to give the poor man the mill. Then the prince said, "Kind sir, you should leave for your home now, and when you arrive back, place the mill on the table and say, 'Magic mill, give me gold and food to eat.' And when the mill has made enough, you simply say, 'Magic mill, stop your magic now.'" The poor man was delighted with his prize. He then thanked the prince for his kindness, put the tiny mill under his arm, and hurried home so quickly that his feet never touched the ground. He was on his way home when he saw something large and black looming towards him, but he could not for the life of him guess what it was. And what do you think it was? It was a horrible, huge, black hat. Underneath the hat was a man, and the poor man joked with him and said, "Good day, good friend. Isn't that hat too tight for you?" The hatted man replied, "Instead of mocking me, sir, why don't you give me a bit of bread, because I haven't eaten for 3 days straight?" The poor man said, "But I don't have any food with me either." But then he remembered the magic mill and said, "Magic mill, give me good food to eat." The poor man had barely finished speaking when so much food appeared that there was enough to feed a village for a week. "Magic mill, stop your magic now." Then the 2 men ate and talked a while until the hatted man said, "Good sir, your mill is a magical thing indeed, but my black hat also has spectacular powers. Ask for one of anything and it will give you 2 instead. I will trade my hat for your mill." "Sir, I'm not a fool." "That's what you think. Just watch this," said the man in the hat. "Fire!" "Enough!" "Yes," said the poor man, "I see your hat is quite splendid, but a hat such as that would not save me from starvation. But the hatted man appealed and pleaded with the poor man until he eventually agreed to the exchange. When the hatted man walked away, he also left a stick lying on the ground. The poor man was left feeling cheated and sad when the stick suddenly spoke up and said, "Why so sad, master?" "I'm sad because I have lost the little sense I was born with, and I'm sad because I have lost my magic mill that I was foolish enough to swap for a hat." Then, in an instant, the stick hurried away and reappeared with the magic mill. And so the poor man had no reason to feel sad a moment longer. When the poor man returned home, his family surrounded him and rejoiced when they learned that the mill had magic powers. Days and months passed, and one day the poor man was standing at his gate when he saw the king approaching on foot with his wife and son. The poor man asked the king, "Where to, your majesty? Where are you walking on foot?" The king replied, "We're in very great trouble. The king of the north has invaded my kingdom, and I have been forced to flee my home with my beloved family. But don't be sad over such a little matter, your majesty. I will mend matters in no time at all." Then the poor man put the huge hat on his head, took the stick in his hand, and set off to find the king of the north's soldiers. It was not long before he stumbled across them because the king of the sunset's kingdom was crowded from border to border by the soldiers. Then the poor man climbed to the top of a hill, pointed his huge black hat in the direction of the enemy and commanded, "Hat, fire!" He then sent his stick after the men to beat their behinds to make them run faster still. The carnage was incredible, and not a single soldier of the King of the North survived to tell the tale of what had happened that day. Having destroyed the enemy, the poor man turned and made his way home, where he told the king what he had done and that he could return to the Sunset Kingdom. Then the king purchased the hat and the stick from the poor man and made his way back to his royal home. So now the Sunset Prince married the Sunrise Princess. They had a wonderful wedding, and the poor man led the dancing, and if his legs can stand it, he is still dancing to this very day. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Pink Pig. Once upon a time, in a tiny village, there lived an old woman who never had a child of her own. And she was once overheard saying that she would not really care if God gave her a puppy, just as long as she had a young one to raise. The years went by, and the woman eventually gave birth to a baby. But it was actually a baby pig. And it was only then she remembered what she had said about God giving her a baby to raise. But what could she do? Now she had a pink pig, and it was her duty to raise it as best she could. The women of the village would gather in the day and gossip, and the pink pig would always sit with its mother and chuckle happily to itself. Let me tell you that the reason your little pink pig squeals so is that it wants to go to school with the other boys and girls in the village. Please don't mock me so, the mother of the pink pig said, who felt sadly ashamed to have such a child. But the rest of the women nagged her until she eventually sent the pink pig to school in the village. And there the pink pig continued to squeal for the teacher until she threw a book at the pink pig to silence it. The pink pig's nose moved from letter to letter until it eventually learned to read like the other children. One day the children all went off to pick strawberries, and the pink pig wanted to join them, but its mother wouldn't let it go. But the neighbours nagged her until she eventually agreed. And as the other children all carried baskets, the pink pig wanted one too, and so its mother hung a little basket on its snout. The boy who lived next door was exactly the same age as the little pink pig, and his mother told him to take very good care of the pig that afternoon. Then the pink pig lagged behind the others on their way and it slipped out of its pigskin. And when it took it off, it was plain for all the world to see that the pink pig was the most beautiful little girl in the land. The pretty little girl quickly filled her basket and then slipped her pigskin back on and went to join the others. The boy next door saw all of this, but he did not say a word. All the children's parents began to worry about their offspring, and so they stood out on the road as they waited for them to come home. Look, the pink pig has brought strawberries too. Who could have filled its basket? The pink pig, the boy said, but he said nothing more of what he had seen. When the children grew up, the boys began to court the girls, and the boy next door went to see the pink pig. His father and mother watched forlornly and wondered what their son wanted from such an ugly beast. But the boy next door never gave up, and he only ever visited the pink pig. At last the time came to marry for the boy next door. Whom will you marry, son? Why, the pink pig, of course. Don't shame us, son. We are old and respected, so don't discredit us now. But his father could clearly see that the boy next door was determined to make the pink pig his bride for life. So he gathered his friends together and went to ask for the pig's hand in marriage. Sadly, my son will never get married if the pink pig refuses his request. The peculiar couple were engaged to be married for some time, and people gathered from far and near to witness their wedding, as it was not every day that a man married a pig. After the wedding feast, the young couple went up to the loft as was the custom. The boy next door had told his mother everything, and he had also told her to take good care and burn the pigskin when they threw it down. The band played when the young couple went up to the loft, and it played when they came down again. The pink pig had gone, and a beautiful girl appeared in its place. Everyone was bewildered by the beauty of the girl, who had once been a pink pig. And that is the end of the pink pig's curly tail. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Rich Man's Three Sons. Once upon a time, there lived a rich man. One day, one of the rich man's farms burned to the ground, and nothing was left but a pile of smoking embers. The rich man had made his fortune as a moneylender, and one of his unhappy borrowers had burned his home down. The rich man felt terribly sad, and not even the priest could comfort him, as he was sure the man would eventually go to hell because of the cruel way he had made money all his life. That may well be true, the rich man thought. But if someone should burn down my other farm, how will my three sons survive? The rich man thought and thought about this until he decided to find all three a job. He made the eldest son a soldier, because he was very bright. He made the middle son a blacksmith's apprentice. And then he spoke to the youngest of his 3 sons and said, "I think you will make a fine barber, son of mine." The youngest son had no objections, and all 3 agreed to do their father's bidding, as anything was better than working the land. The eldest liked the idea of marching around with a silver sword by his side, while the other 2 were happy that they would not have to hoe or mow now that they had proper trades. The years passed by, and the rich man became old, although he had never been a young man, and he spent all his time thinking how he could one day avoid hell's fiery furnace that had been promised to him by the priest. But the rich man's 3 sons did not have a care in the world. His son the soldier danced his days away, while his son the blacksmith and the barber spent all their days making merry. Then the day came when the sons received a letter saying that they should all 3 return home at once because their father's days were numbered, and he wanted to see his sons. So all 3 sons journeyed home and thought they would soon inherit a fortune from their rich father. When they arrived, the rich man asked his son the soldier, "Well, my son, what manner of soldier have you become?" "Well, my father, the emperor has no finer soldier than I, and I wield a silver sword like no other. The other day, it began to rain while we were on parade, and all the other soldiers got wet, but not I, because I drew my sword and span it around so swiftly above my head that I remained dry." The rich man nodded. "I'm glad, my son, that you have become such a fine soldier, and I have no need to worry about your fortune." Then he asked the middle son, "And you, my son, how do you fare as a blacksmith?" "Well, my father, there's no finer blacksmith in this land or any other beyond its borders. Only yesterday, a coach passed by the smithy, drawn by 4 grey horses. The lord driving the coach said that all 4 horses needed reshoeing, but he had no time to stop. My master stood and scratched his head, but while he stood there, I swiftly shoed all 4 horses, and the coach did not have to stop for a single second." The rich man also noted his middle son's words. "You are indeed a master of your trade, my son, and I have no need to worry about your fortune. And you, my youngest son, are you also a master of your trade? You ask me if I'm a master barber, father. Well, nothing proves it better than the fact that I shaved a rabbit clean while it was running yesterday, and I did not cut its soft skin once." The rich man also noted his youngest son's words, and then spoke to all 3. "I see, my sons, that you all have the skill to make your own fortunes, and you have no need of mine. And so now I can use all of my money to pay myself out of hell's fiery furnace." Then the rich man called the priest, gave him all his money, and told him to give it to the poor. So the rich man's 3 sons were given nothing for their pains and ran away, never to return.